Today's topic is one of my absolute favorite topics to talk about with new clients. This is about how to choose your flagship product or service. And the reason why this is so important is because most of the people that I talk to are chasing anywhere from 5 to 10 different products and services, and they're having a really hard time prospecting with their clients. This process that I'm going to walk you through is really a handful of decisions that you need to make. You may need to make all of them. You may need to only make a couple of them, but it will help you determine how to choose that ideal flagship product or service for your company. So let's dive in. Number one on my list is the market demand. It doesn't matter how passionate you are about a product or service. It doesn't matter how much you think it's a valuable product or service. If there isn't market demand for it, it doesn't matter. I'll give you an example here. My wife drives a Jeep. You see a lot of those Jeeps with the tire on the back, and a lot of them have those little tire covers. Well, I was driving back from Atlanta from a conference, and what do I see in Georgia? I see a crocheted tire cover. So what do you think the market demand is on crocheted tire covers? Now, no, this is not a government product or service here, but think about it from that perspective. Somebody was really passionate about making that. It's not weatherproof. It's probably not easy to clean. It looked very cool, and my daughter's into crocheting, so immediately I snapped a photo of it because I thought it was kind of cool. But the average person's not going to put that on their tire. They're just not. So the market demand is not very big for something like that. Again, it doesn't matter how excited you are about it. Is the market even buying this product or service? And are they buying it in the tens or hundreds of millions of dollars? Is there room for you in the market? Which we'll get to that here in a little bit. But the market demand is a really big thing. You can find out the market demand by doing a search in USA Spending or SAM.gov's databank. I've got information in my brand new book. I'm new to government contracting. Where do I start? You can go in that book. You can learn how to use those tools. You can hop in Federal Access. You can look at our videos. You can go and Google videos. There's tons of ways to figure out, is there market demand for the product or service that you want to sell? Number two on my list is passion and brand alignment. It doesn't matter what the product or service is. If you don't like it, if you're not passionate about it, you're probably going to hate it. You probably are. And with that usually comes the brand alignment piece, though. So there's the passion. Hey, do I love this thing? And does it align with our values? If those two things don't meet, then you're going to have a massive problem. You're going to wake up every day hating life, trying to put this product or service out into the market, knowing that you don't like it. So just because there is market demand doesn't mean that there's enough passion and brand alignment for you to actually sell this thing. You have to make sure that you love what you are going to sell. Otherwise, you're going to have a problem. Number three is competitive advantage. So do you have any sort of competitive advantage in the market? Is it because you've been doing this for 25 years and you know the ins and outs of this product or service? Is it something where you've created a unique process or procedure? You have a unique relationship with the manufacturer. You have a unique relationship with other experts in the market. Do you have a competitive advantage that's going to allow you to outsell, outmaneuver, outmarket your competition in this business? Because if you don't, you're going to struggle to sell it. Number four, which maybe I should have put this as number one, but number four is profitability. A lot of people don't think about this at all. I left it to number four because I wanted to get through a few things here, but most people don't even put this on there. They just think, oh, this is what I want to sell. Well, what if it's not profitable? Or what if the margin is so thin that one mistake is going to cause a problem for you? Now, profitability may not be on the product. Profitability may be on your business operations. I've seen companies that have such a high overhead, or they have so many other issues with how they run the company, that it's not profitable to sell to the government because they're used to how they sell in the commercial market. It's marked up. There's really no restrictions in the commercial market for the most part on the pricing. And so the commercial market offers flexibility that the government doesn't. And when they start looking at the government pricing, in order to be competitive, they have to reduce their rates. So now they've lost a competitive advantage with their pricing, which means, oh man, do we have to get, different people or whatever, cheaper people? What do we have to do? Do we have to get a cheaper product? Whatever it may be, they've lost a competitive advantage and they may have lost profitability. If you look at it, and in the government market, it's going to be razor thin margin and you're going to have to sell massive quantities of this thing. That may be something that deters you from choosing that product or service to sell to the government, and you may have to shift gears, or maybe government's not the right place for you. Number 5 on my list is scalability. Is this something you can scale? That is often a challenge for people. I was just talking to a client the other day, and he said, look, we have a team of about 10 people. I'm looking at a contract where we would add literally 50 people to the team. And I said, okay, so what's the problem? He's like, we can't afford it. We can't scale that. We don't know how to go from 5, 10 people to 50 like that. We don't know how to do it. This is going to restrict us. So like, well, okay, we've got to solve that problem, right? So for them, it was a people problem. Their business wasn't scalable. It was their business, not the service. So you've got to be able to figure out that. And so sometimes that's the challenge. And we're going to get into that in number 7 a little bit more, the feasibility and resources. But scalability of the product or service is extremely important. And if you don't have something that's scalable, that could be a problem. That could prohibit you from selling that. Maybe the product you're selling the government, you make in your garage, and your factory team is you and, your 2 daughters and your wife, right? That's your entire factory. Can you fulfill 20,000 widgets at the drop of a hat? Probably not. So you've got to think about the scalability side of that, especially on certain contract vehicles. Like NASA Soup is one of those contract vehicles where they often buy things at scale, and they have very high standards on how you are supposed to be able to provide that at scale. Number 6 is customer experience. When I look at a product or service, I want to make sure that the customer experience is going to be out of this world. If you're delivering widgets, the delivery of the widgets, the performance of the widgets. If you're delivering services, again, it's the delivery of the service. How is it performing for the clients? Are they wowed by what you're doing? Or is this something where it's going to be a mediocre thing? So if you were a restaurant, would you get a 5-star review on Yelp, or would you get a 3-star? If you're only getting a 3-star, you're going to have problems selling in this market. So when you think about how you deliver service to your customers, how are you delivering? At the 5-star level? No. If you're not there at the 5-star level, this is an issue. Customer experience is a really, really big one. In fact, you build your brand around customer experience. How happy are they with you? How much do they love working with you? How happy are they with your product or service? So that was customer experience. Now, back to number 7 here, the feasibility and resources. Do you have the expertise on your team, the infrastructure? Do you have all of that you need in order to deliver? Again, if it's widgets and the customer goes and says, hey, I want to move this order from 500 to 50,000 widgets, can you scale that? Is that feasible for you? Could you just ask your neighbor to use their garage and their kids for labor to get all those widgets out? Or, do you need to go buy a warehouse? Is that possible for you? If the government said, hey, here's $25 million to produce widgets, what would that do to your business, right? Is that something feasible? I just had a client email me the other day saying, hey, we just won a $25 million contract. And I know they're about a $4 or $5 million company. It's going to be a massive expansion for them, that they've been planning for it. They've been looking at this. They only do the one thing. So it was very easy for them to understand how they were going to scale this. And so they lined up all the resources so that once this happened, which they knew it was going to happen, they were able to flip the switch and expand their business rapidly. You need to be thinking about that stuff. The next one is the longevity of it. So I've seen people get into this market with products that I would consider are on a downward cycle, where, hey, the government was buying a whole lot of this. Now they're buying less and less and less. And again, if you go into Sam's data bank, if you go into USA Spending, you can actually pull this data and see it. What I like about USA Spendings is you can actually hit a timetable and you can see going back to 2008, because that's as far as the data goes in USA Spending. You can go back to 2008 and you can see a visual graph of the trend. So is it going down? Is it going up? What is the trend on this product or service? You can even do that by agency, right? So you can see what the longevity looks like. And if you see a product that's in a massive downward spiral, you may know, hey, this is probably not something we want to invest our time and energy in. It happens. Or you'll see that the open market of this product is what's changed. So in the SAM databank, when you pull a report, there's a field in there where you can look at the type of set-asides. It'll say there was no set-aside, it was full and open, that sort of thing. You can look at that and you can look at it over the years to be able to see, hey, this was something that was being bought not only using GSA, but on all these different small business set-asides. And now there's a trend where it's not being done that way anymore. Oh, it's been moved to this contract vehicle. Oh, it's been moved. We're no longer going to be competitive on this because it's moved this way or that way, depending on the trend. So the longevity is one of those things you want to look at. If I was looking at the future right now and you said, Mike, what are some things that are just never going to go away? Construction. Construction's never going away. IT is never going away. Project management, never going away. You may say, what about AI? What influence is it going to have? Well, I'm glad you asked. AI is in its infancy. It's going to have a very long longevity in this market. We're just at the beginning of using AI right now. So that's a product that you can get into or a service you can get into that's not going anywhere. There may be rules and regulations that happen around it, but I guarantee you it's one of those things that's here to stay. You may say, well, it's probably going to wipe out certain things. Nah, it's not going to wipe it out. It may decrease the need for the number of people, but the number of people that are doing it are going to have to use AI to do their jobs. When I say it's going to decrease the number, it may not be what you think. It's probably not going to be a 50, 60% reduction in people. It's probably going to be a 10%. And the reason why is because the demand for what AI can do is only going to grow. So the person that could do this job in 8 hours that can now do it in 2 hours now has 6 more hours to do more stuff. So there's going to be more demand put on those people. That's a podcast for another day. But all I'm saying here is go through and look at the longevity. Are you selling something that's dying or something that's growing? Make sure it's growing. And then the last one here is synergy with other offerings. You have to make sure that whatever you're selling is cohesive with the other things that you want to sell. I always look at it this way. Let's pick a flagship product or service, and then let's pick 4 or 5 other things that are complementary. So if you're doing web design, one of the things you could be doing is SEO and analytics and app development, AWS services, SharePoint services, things that integrate in with your flagship web design. It's really simple. If you're looking at a business like building maintenance, what goes great with building maintenance? Well, there's cabling and wiring and plumbing and all those kind of things. There's also janitorial. There's also landscaping. There's also little things like that that touch the building services type of market. When you're looking for that product or service, it's going to be the flagship. Everything else you do needs to be complementary because your flagship is what is out front. It's what brings people in the door. It is the easiest entry point into a new customer. Everything else is kind of like the cherry on top. If you're having trouble with figuring out what your flagship product or service is going to be, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to walk through this with you and help you come to a decision with it. We'll see you next time. I really hope you enjoyed the podcast today. If you did, I would really appreciate it if you would like and subscribe to the podcast and screenshot it and tag me on LinkedIn or whatever social media you use. So thank you again for joining us today, and we'll see you next time.